Greetings to all our viewers joining us from around the world. Today is Saturday, May 2nd, 2026. You are watching Only the Truth channel, the platform dedicated to the stories the mainstream narrative refuses to touch. I'm Jennifer, and in today's broadcast, we are breaking down the immediate fallout of the escalating tensions between Washington and Iran. We're looking at a massive miscalculation that has already claimed its first American casualty. Spirit Airlines has officially shut down operations as jet fuel costs soar, following the blockade of the Strait of Hormuz. While the White House broadcasts rhetoric that many are calling a sign of cognitive decline, China has stepped in to show exactly where they stand, issuing an injunction to block U.S. sanctions on their refineries. We'll also examine the reality of the U.S. Navy's presence in the region. Is it a legitimate blockade? Or, as some experts suggest, a made-for-TV charade? Before we dive into this analysis, make sure to hit that subscribe button and like this video. Information is power, so please share this broadcast on WhatsApp, Telegram, Facebook, and all your social media platforms. Help us connect the dots and connect people globally who are tired of the propaganda.
3 topics to deal with tonight. A popular US airline has become the first casualty of Donald Trump's massive miscalculation on Iran as it shuts down operations due to soaring jet fuel costs. Meanwhile, the deranged occupant of the White House has once again shown his cognitive decline, and the official Twitter handle of the White House has broadcast Trump's mental derangement. I'm not making this up, as you will see the evidence in a bit. China has put Trump in his place on the so-called sanctioning of Chinese refineries for buying oil from Iran. Meanwhile, Israeli terrorists have slaughtered more Palestinians in Gaza in utter violation of the October ceasefire. Elsewhere, Israeli poodle Keir Starmer continues to push for the banning of anti-Israeli genocide marches in the UK. This will be the broad focus of my video tonight. Also in tonight's video, a powerful but very somber Lego film from Iran, so please stay tuned. So Trump's derangement now has its first major casualty as Spirit Airlines shuts down business due to soaring jet fuel costs following the blockade of the Strait of Hormuz by Iran. This means that tens of thousands of passengers are now stranded immediately. And 17,000 American jobs, yes, 17,000 American jobs are gone. This is the true definition of this Israeli lapdog's America First approach. He has just made 17,000 Americans jobless because of his decision to please his terrorist Israeli masters by illegally invading Iran. When will Americans wake up to the fact that the depraved man they elected as their president is out to destroy their country and their future? But last night, this Israeli lapdog was proudly declaring himself a celebrated pirate. Yes, he said that. And worse, his American audience clapped at this pronouncement.
And there was no response. Turn your ship around. Evacuate your engine room immediately. And you see all these guys running out of there. Now, they're 5 miles away, and one shot into the engine room, blew up the engine room, the ship stopped. They used tugboats, and then we landed on top of it. On top of everything else, we then land on top of it, and we took over the ship. We took over the cargo, took over the oil. It's a very profitable business. Who would have thought we were doing that? We're like pirates. We're sort of like pirates.
Then the official Twitter handle of the White House tweeted a 1-hour video of the clown from the White House just saying 2 words, winning it. Yes, a 1-hour video of Trump simply repeating 2 words, winning it, in the context of Iran war. That's how absurd things have become in the corridors of power in the US. It seems the entire administration has gone nuts. Here is a snapshot. Of course, I'm not going to play the entire 1-hour video.
Winning it, 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 winning it.
This came on a day the Chinese Ministry of Commerce issued an injunction to block US sanctions imposed on 5 Chinese refineries accused of buying Iranian oil. This was China's way of showing its middle finger to Trump. The Chinese ministry named the 5 as Hengli Petrochemical, Dalian Refinery, and so-called teapot refineries Shandong Jincheng Petrochemical Group, Hebei Jinhai Chemical Group, Shuguang Luqing Petrochemical, and Shandong Shenzhen Chemical. Trump had announced sanctions on these refineries for purchasing oil from Iran. The Chinese response means that Beijing will take a dim view of any punitive action against these companies by Trump, be it stopping their ships or any other actions. But Trump's humiliation isn't over yet. Iran's Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Hamid Reza Haji Babai, says that a new law is being framed to manage the Strait of Hormuz. It would include preventing Israeli ships from transiting the maritime route. This would be another way of formalizing Iranian control of the Strait of Hormuz. This explains why Trump is mocked as Taco Trump. He's all talk, but no action. Even Americans are now making fun of US military's so-called blockade of the Strait of Hormuz.
The other point is what it seems to me that the blockade is failing, and the Trump administration, despite having this sort of rhetoric that is so successful, they're getting to the point to understand that the blockade is not working. That's why they need a new round of war. Your understanding of that?
You obviously haven't read my piece at sonar21.com. That's sonar21.com. Okay, look, this blockade is a charade. It's a complete made for TV, made to fool the United States citizens. It's not real. The U.S. Navy right now has deployed about you got 3 carrier strike groups, and each of those carrier strike groups carry they have between 3 and 4 ships, destroyers, cruisers. So let's go with 4 apiece. That's 12. Then you've got the 2 MEUs, which each MEU in this amphibious, they call it an ARG. I forget what the full acronym is, but they got
amphibious readiness group.
Amphibious readiness.
Yeah.
Okay. Amphibious readiness group. So they got 3 ships per each of those, and again. You take out the aircraft carriers and the carrier strike groups, because they're not going to pull up alongside some ship and board it. So basically, you got a total of about 11 ships that could be used to board a tanker or a cargo vessel. Well, the other thing is we're keeping the U.S. Navy 200 miles offshore of Iran. Okay, we're not getting inside that 200-mile barrier, because if they get close, they get shot. Well, so what does Iran do? Because we said we blockaded their ports. We haven't blockaded their ports. Nonsense. So the Iranian vessel comes out of port, whether it's Bandar Abbas or Karg Island. So it stays within the 12-mile limit of territorial waters. Okay, 12 miles out, plenty of depth. And so they're about 180 miles away from the nearest U.S. ship. Let's say the U.S. ship is then, the U.S. Navy is going to go, we're going to go get this tanker. They wait till it gets out of Iranian waters, maybe into Pakistani waters, and in theory, they go and they board it. Okay, once they board it, they either have to have a prize crew and a crew that takes control of the ship and sells it, or in any event, they have the ship that was used to basically stop the Iranian vessel. It stays with it until they get to wherever the port, wherever they're going with it. Well, if you've only got like 11 ships that are capable of doing that, that means you can stop 11 vessels. And since April 15th, there have been between 100 and 200 Iranian vessels coming out of the Gulf.
Up until now, I addressed Trump as an Israeli slave. But now, even Tucker Carlson is calling him the same.
You said he's a hostage just now. You told the BBC he's a slave to foreign interests.
Correct.
So I just want to ask you to be sort of explicit. I mean, Trump is being held hostage by whom? Or by who?
Benjamin
or by
Netanyahu and by his many advocates in the United States. And we know that not simply because Trump started the war on February 28th, but because he couldn't get out of it. He declares we're having a ceasefire. This was 4 weeks in. He says we're having a ceasefire and we're having these talks and they're going great. And we're going to open the strait. And Iran says, yeah, one of our conditions is Israel's got to pull back from southern Lebanon. You can't use the Iran war as a pretext for stealing more land from a sovereign country. That's not your country. Like, no. And it's not just Iran who felt that way. I think the rest of the world's like, what are you doing? I thought we were, fighting the great existential threat, Iran, and now you're taking the opportunity to take Lebanon shore of the Litani River and bombing downtown Beirut. Like, what is this? Anyway, this was all very well known.
Remember, not too long ago, Trump announced the Trump card, whereby anyone could buy American residency by paying $5 million. Do you know what happened to that high-profile announcement? Watch this video for yourself.
You are never going to guess how many gold cards the Trump administration sold. Do you remember this gimmick, the Donald Trump gold card? So last year, he came up with this brilliant idea to pay off the national debt, offer the richest people all over the world the ability to live and work in the U.S. for the low, low price of $5 million. And the White House made a huge deal of it. They issued like a mock-up of the card. They even did an event where they gave the rapper Nicki Minaj an honorary gold card. And during the rollout, Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick went on a Trump-friendly podcast to brag about how many he already sold.
And by the way, yesterday I sold 1,000. There are 37 million people in the world who are capable of buying the card. In case you were wondering.
37 million. That's a lot more than ChatGPT told me. How many do you think you'll sell?
The president thinks we can sell 1 million.
1,000 sold in just one day. I mean, extrapolate that out. I mean, you're looking at like trillions of dollars of revenue to plug the deficit with this just absolute gusher of money coming in from foreign rich people. Except we just found out what the actual number is. What do you think it is? How many gold cards did this White House sell? How many? 1.
This is the reality of this Israeli slave in the White House. Talking about Israel, these human devils have continued to showcase their barbarism against helpless and unarmed Palestinians by killing more innocent people in Gaza today. Israeli terrorists have violated the October ceasefire more than 2,500 times. Watch this Al Jazeera video to truly understand the Israeli depravity with approval from clown Trump.
Well, the latest strike is the strike that killed Brahim Saqr, a paramedic that works with the medical services in the north of the Gaza Strip. Brahim is a father of 2, a boy and a girl, and also his brother is detained in Israeli prison since the beginning of the genocide. Brahim is not the only paramedic that has been killed from the medical service teams. At least 17 have been killed in the north, according to the medical services spokesperson. Also, the Israeli forces have been targeting vital services across the Gaza Strip. We're seeing targets for journalists, civil defense teams, paramedics, police officers. Yesterday, 4 police officers were killed. But earlier today, there were also artillery shelling in the central parts. There was also firing from warships near the coast. So there's daily violations since the ceasefire started. And since the ceasefire started, at least 823 Palestinians have been killed. And this shows that Israel continues breaching this ceasefire, and there's no peace despite the fact that this agreement is in effect.
In Gaza, they are slaughtering innocent Palestinians. But elsewhere in the occupied territories, the same sick psychos are attacking Christians. No wonder we are now seeing a global reactions to the anti-Christian attacks in the illegal settler colony. In the US, influential MAGA figure Marjorie Taylor Greene called on US Christians to speak out. And in France, the foreign minister spoke out against a recent heinous attack on a French nun in Jerusalem. Meanwhile, Hezbollah fighters have continued to inflict more pain on Israeli terrorists. Much to the shock of the Israeli terrorists, Hezbollah fighters have now begun using fiber optic drones. This has completely caught the IDF terrorists off guard. IDF terrorists have tried everything. They have tried several new approaches and even deployed new radars to deal with these drones, but to no avail. These drones can fly just 30 centimeters, which is about 12 inches off the ground. And they are so small that they are almost impossible to detect. No wonder Israelis have now activated their assets in the UK to curb free speech against the genocide in Gaza. Their slave, Keir Starmer, who thankfully may soon go into political oblivion and who is also married to a Jewish woman, has repeated his resolve to ban anti-genocide marches in London. Watch this Sky News broadcast to truly understand the sickening double standards of the Labour government in the UK.
No threat whatsoever to the Jewish community from these marches. In fact, they are attended by thousands of Jewish people, often in a bloc, in the Jewish bloc, who disapprove of the actions of the government and disapprove of the actions of the state of Israel. So there isn't just one opinion in the Jewish community here. There are Jews, as there are in every community, with a different set of opinions, and many of them come on our march and of course are completely safe, which they wouldn't be if these were anti-Semitic marches, of course.
Well, but we're speaking against the backdrop of, while these marches have been going on for weeks and months, against the backdrop of arson attacks, stabbings, murders. What Sir Michael Ellis, former Attorney General, was saying there is that the cumulative effect on the Jewish community and the society's response to the Jewish community, it just needs to stop. There needs to be a circuit break.
Well, and the problem with this kind of analysis is that it acts as if there's a causal relationship between the demonstrations and the attacks on Jewish people. But as we now know from the background of the person who committed this latest obscenity in Golders Green, actually the connection is that they were mentally ill, that they were in the Prevent programme. That very morning they'd attacked a Muslim man, which isn't as part of the news cycle, unfortunately, because it would frame it rather differently. There is a failure in the Prevent programme. There is a failure to protect people from these kind of individuals, but these kind of individuals are not attached to the Palestine movement. They are not attached to the marches. There's no evidence that they've ever seen a march, let alone been on one, or that the organisers would for a second condone it. So this connection is completely fallacious. And what the Prime Minister and others are doing is weaponising and instrumentalising claims of anti-Semitism to try and marginalise and defeat their political opponents.
While Israeli terrorists and their Western sympathizers may be having sleepless nights for losing the PR war across the globe, Iran is absolutely ruling this territory. Their Lego series has been one heck of a revelation which has taken the world by storm. I will play their latest video in a bit. But today, Iran invited a group of international journalists to Tehran to show the sheer evil acts of the US and Israel that they showcased by bombing hundreds of Iranian hospitals during the war. Tehran's Gandhi Hospital was one of them. Today, Iran invited a group of international journalists to see the devastation caused by American and Israeli human devils at this hospital.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit, I got no love for the fakeness.
Hello everybody, thank you for coming to Gandhi Hospital.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit, I got no love.
one of our buildings totally completely destroyed, and other part of the hospital like surgery room and ICU, CCU, and some of other areas that I will show you later get destroyed as well. So we have to shut down the hospital and lay out all of our personnel, about 350 persons and about 200 doctors. They are all on the job right now, and we close the hospital.
I got facts over tracks, this and that, spitting slow, spitting fast, I could roast, I could gas, think I'm okay.
Thank you for staying with us through this broadcast. At Only the Truth, we don't just report the news. We look for the material reality of who actually benefits from these global conflicts. As 17,000 Americans lose their jobs at Spirit Airlines, while the administration talks about winning, it's clear that the America First approach is facing a devastating reality check. We value your perspective because this community is built on skeptical, independent thought. I want to leave you with 2 questions to answer in the comments section below. Do you believe the collapse of Spirit Airlines is a temporary economic glitch, or is it the first of many dominoes to fall as a result of U.S. foreign policy in the Middle East? With China openly defying U.S. sanctions and Iran formalizing control over the Strait of Hormuz, are we witnessing the final collapse of Western maritime hegemony? Leave your thoughts below. Don't forget to share this discussion with those who need to hear the truth. I'm Jennifer, and we'll see you in the next update.